how everybody is doing. All right, on. There's Tally in Egan in Florida. Morning, Tally. How are you? All right, Malcolm is in. Charlie is back. How you doing, Charlie? I hope you're doing well. Let's see, we have Lily who just joined. And Molemans has joined. I will butcher all of these names. Hello from NYC. And little Rosianne. Did I say that correctly? I'm so awful at these. How is New York City doing? I saw that they swept the Occupy of City Hall. I just saw that on Twitter. Twitter, the greatest news outlet. Victor, teacher in Los Angeles. Well, right on, Victor. I'm in Los Angeles myself. And that's interesting, Victor, because I was going to talk about teaching today. I'm going to talk about homeschooling and or the educational system. Lily Rosianne says it is crazy over here. It is certainly crazy over there, and it's been crazy over there for quite a long time. Eric John, how you doing today, buddy? All right. So here's one for you guys. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to 88 Acres. Yes, 88 Acres have sent me. They've sent me protein bars and seed bars, and I'm really excited. They're really, really good. You should definitely get you some. They didn't even say to tout it on the show. They just said, listen, Johnny, we love the show. We love what you guys are doing. Can I send you some snacks? Yes, you can send me some snacks. You can always send me snacks. They are great. These ones are blueberry lemon seed bars, and they're great. Chantel, 1984, how are you doing today? It's good to see you here. So if you're looking for some good, healthy snacks, I say check out 88 Acres. They know talent, right? They know talent. And so if they can recognize talent, imagine the goodness that are in their protein bars and snacks. Order a pizza and screw the snacks. Well, Tally, I'll have to say I am a big fan of pizza, but let's not get crazy. Let's keep it a traditional Italian or New York pizza. Let's not go Chicago. Let's not put fruit on pizza. Fruit does not belong on pizza unless it's tomatoes. All right. And do not put sugar in the sauce. Charlie says, I will bake a big pie and send it to you. I don't know how that will fare in the mail, Charlie, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. So I have been seeing in the news lately, of course, we are talking about school opening back up. Oh, Marco says not Greek pizza. I love Greek pizza. Greek pizza's all right. I can deal with that. It's not the best, but it's pretty good. I like the white sauce. So Lillian Rosen says, this is my first time joining live. Well, the guys will let you know, but this is all about self-development and topical items dealing with self-development. Megan Swanson, welcome. It is good to see you. I want to see the photos of that shoot you did. It looked great, and you looked awesome. All right. So, as I mentioned, 88 Acres. All right. And if you were watching a Periscope or YouTube land, make sure you send me messages. Make sure you send me comments. That's how I know that you're watching, because I am restreaming, and that's the only way that I can see you guys over there. And thank you, Marco, for letting me know that you're there. All right. So here's what I wanted to talk about today. There has been a lot of discussion on the school situation coming up here in the fall. And as you can imagine, it has been politicized. A lot of people are nervous about it. We have children who, of course, parents are nervous about getting sick. We have teachers who, of course, we are worried about getting sick We have plenty of people who work within the school system who are going to be chatting with all these young people. And now we're at a place where of course, we're having civil strife, right? The things are happening in our society that has people polarized. Well, that polarization is throughout society. And now we're at a point where we're talking about schools opening back up. There are a lot of people who need to be able to work their jobs and send their kids to school. Their kids being at school are the reason that they're able to do their jobs. However, we're now getting to a place where a lot of people are finding out that they don't need to go into the office anymore. In fact, they don't need to go into the office anymore. And guess what? Your children don't need to go into a school to be taught. Now, some folks need that. There is a discussion to be had. But we're also at a place because of how everything is so disjointed that the only way that parents are going to feel good about sending their children to school is that the curriculum is teaching their children the right things. I mean, our school system now it's an antiquated system. It doesn't even work. It was put together in an attempt to ready children for the workforce. And that workforce, during that time of its development, was the Industrial Revolution. It was sending young men to go into a factory and getting them ready for factory life, working in shifts, listening to the bell, moving from one place to another. But now the entrepreneurial spirit and technology has put us into a place where that sort of training is not going to be the most effective for a young person to create the most opportunities for their own life. Tally says not all chickens learn the same. Oh, sorry about that. Not all children learn the same. That needs to change. Absolutely. And let me give you an anecdote about that. I myself was a rambunctious young man. My interests during those developmental years were in music and skateboarding, sports and creativity. That's where I was. I did well in certain subjects when I had a good teacher who could actually hold my attention for more than 5 minutes. However, outside of that, I was a dreadful student. I slept most of the time because I was a night owl as a kid. I was never one to go to bed. In fact, certainly if I could have been as very rambunctious and done a lot that day, but still come time to go to bed, I would be wide awake. I would barely sleep. I'd be dragging ass in the morning, and my family who are watching this, some of my family who are watching this can attest to that. And too much energy, I guess, Charlie? Yes, too much energy. And my attention, all of it was given to music and skateboarding. I liked movies too, but what kids don't, video games. But music, skateboarding, those were my two biggest. I spent all my time in those situations. Now, I did pretty bad at school. Not that I was failing, but I was failing. In fact, the rule in my house was just pass. Can you just pass? Can you just graduate? That's all we're asking. You don't need to do it in spectacular fashion. You don't need to do it to strive for a perfectionism, strive for A's. We're happy if you just pass. So, because my attention was all over the place, I saw school, and I saw it as basically as a prison sentence. I saw it as a place that I had to go to and serve my time so that by my senior year and graduating that I would be able to go out and begin my life. Now, my life at that time was centered around music, and that's what I was going to do. And that's all there was to it. And there was no discussion. Also, I'm incredibly stubborn, even at that time. And so if I had set my sights on music, there's no other conversation. Christina, it is good to see you from Venice. Tally says, maybe you had a learning disorder and nobody knew. Well, that is debatable, Tally. And and one could say that learning disability is still present and prevalent in my own life today. It's funny because I was just discussing this the other day. I had never been much of a reader, but when I was young, but that's all I do now. I mean, I always have a book open. In fact, I read several hours a day. That is just part of my entertainment. It's part for work, for all the interviews that I do. And it also allows me to take my face out of the screen that I'm talking into right now. So I enjoy reading. In fact, for every interview that I do on The Art of Charm, I get asked by the promotional team, would you prefer their book, and how would you prefer their book? And I've said this before. I always demand a physical copy so that I am not reading off a screen. So I'm not, there's the benefits of reading from a physical book far outweigh any of the other benefits. And because I have to fight mentally with everything that I'm reading and putting together, and it's such a task for me, that the physical form works best. Now, to the schooling thing that I wanted to discuss, we're at a place now where we're having a discussion of world views. And as you have watched this show, you know that is a very important piece to your success, which is your worldview, the lens that you use to maneuver through the world. That lens that you develop for yourself through your educational processes will determine or not. Well, it is certainly going to determine your success, but it's also going to determine your well-being. And if you do not agree with the worldview that is going to be propped up in the educational system, I certainly wouldn't want to send my kids. And you have all the proper learning tools at home now. Granted, kids do not need to be staring at a screen any more than they already are. But this system, this antiquated system, is at a point where if we continue to force school the way it is only going to continue to fracture and damage our young people. And that's terrifying for me because I know how much I dreaded school. Now, I was also one of those kids that when I was told that if I didn't ace this midterm or final, that I would fail. And of course, I would be mad and I would go home and I would study all night and I would ace the test. Not to say that I am some whiz kid who didn't need to put my efforts in. It was that's all you really need to do for a lot of K through 12 schooling is just memorize things. Why? Why is memorization so important from K through 12? For an antiquated 1950s system that sends you into a factory, that's all you needed to do was memorize what your part is. Certainly not to train you how to think for yourself and create worldviews that give you opportunities in life And that's where we are. If we're going to continue to develop as a nation, we're going to have to develop our children better. I can even make the argument that our antiquated system has put us in this position where we're not creating better children for a better future. We're creating stunted children, which is giving us a stunted future. Boom. There you go. That's where I'm at with that. Christina says, yeah, they do not teach you how to study. No, they don't. They don't teach you how to study. And Charlie says, if you ask people about their favorite teacher, they can tell that in a sec. Yes, I can tell you every teacher that was able to shake me into the conversation at school. And whether or not I enjoyed the subject or not, it was the teacher that was able to pull the most from me. It wasn't subjects with me. There was time where one history class I would ace, and another history class I would struggle to stay awake. That is a teacher issue. That is not a subject. Well, the subject as well, but for the most part, it was the teacher. I had great teachers in completely uninteresting topics that I wasn't interested in dealing with. So I did well in the subjects with great teachers and not so well in others. Now, I don't have the answer to this conundrum that we're slowly or quickly rolling into. That is, what are we going to do with the children this fall? Well, for those parents who realize they don't have to go back into the office, I'm sure that having screaming children around is certainly not going to help. They're going to have to figure that out. Charlie asked, what was your best or first teacher memory, Johnny? I have a lot of them. In fact, there is one teacher. His name was Mr. Dato. And Mr. Dato was an English, an American literature, in 19th century English lit. And he was a hard ass about it. However, he stated this at the beginning of the year. He stated, if you show up to class and you're engaged, you will get an A. And I will make sure you get that A. And he says, and if you're not engaged in my class, I will throw you out and I will make it difficult for you to even walk in these doors. So it would be easier and it would behoove you if you came to class and you were ready to learn. And he was a jerk to those who weren't engaged. He certainly threw enough erasers. I mean, that was his thing. If you fell asleep in class, you would get smacked with an eraser that he would whip across the room. And he did not discriminate of where that eraser might hit. So it might plow you straight in the face. And I'm talking about a spongy eraser from the chalkboard. But he would make sure that it was chalked up, and then he would whip it across the room and it would hit you in the face and there would be a poof of chalk, but you would certainly be up. And I can tell you that after getting pelted with that eraser several times, that I started to come to class engaged. However, I aced that class, and I can even remember some of the authors that he had us read, and even up to this day. And one of my favorite sayings, from the depths of hell, I stab at thee, from that is Herman Melville's Moby Dick, and that's one of my favorite sayings in American lit. So, Chantel says, can't have indoor dining, but they're willing to send kids to school. Yeah, there is so many arguments to this, Chantel, but regardless, it's an antiquated system and we need to figure it out. Homeschool system has never been a thing in Italy. I know it is way more common in the US. Absolutely, Christina, because the situation is, I think a lot of Americans are not happy what's being taught in school. And if you're not happy what is being taught in school, your choices, especially if you don't have money, those choices are limited. And of course, sending your children to terrible schools with terrible teachers in a system that is outdated is a lose, with a raging pandemic, is a lose all the way around. And then as a parent, you have to combat what your children are being taught. And so you have your own work to be cut out for you, and you have to be the best leader that your children see in order to take after your mindsets, beliefs, and ideas, so they don't adopt bad ideas from school. Now, you may ask, what are those bad ideas? Bad ideas are mindsets and worldviews that do not allow a child opportunity. And this is one of the things of why I've got involved in self-development. You're going to learn what you're going to learn. You're going to grow up where you've grown up. You're going to be surrounded with an idea of what life and society is like from your surroundings. And most of that learning is going to be a non-shared environment, which means that it's going to be from film, movies, television, music, the other kids in the neighborhood. When you choose a worldview, then you look for information that backs up that worldview. It's confirmation bias. So as a parent, you have your work cut out for you where you're trying to enact and install a worldview that your child is going to use so that they could be successful. And if it's counter what they had learned in school or with their friends or that non-shared environment, it can be very difficult. Why would you want to send your child into a situation like that to learn mindsets that would not be beneficial to them? Now, think about all the learning environments that a child is exposed to. You have one at school. They have one in their friends. Perhaps a religious backdrop if your family comes from that sort of background, or a secular one. I mean, you have everything working against you. If you are not living within your own worldview experience, how is your child going to see that other worldviews work, and that if they do work, that you can be successful with it, rather than this idea that success comes from power, money, and fame, where a monetary, superficial materialization of success can be bought that way. But what about an internal well-being of serving your fellow man and society as a whole, where internal well-being comes from. Estefan says, put these kids to work in essential jobs, 6 months, the 6 months of sleeping till 10 and playing video games. First world luxuries are over, kids. Welcome to adulthood. Estefan, I have to agree with you. In fact, all children should be working a retail job or a service industry job for at least 6 months. You can learn more about people, psychology, philosophy when working a job that serves your fellow man than any class can do, because that classroom work is only pontificating. That classroom work is only hypotheses. It's ideas. Unless you are prepared to see how those ideas work in the real world, they are useless. So by taking a psychology class and then acting out those ideas in the real world and seeing how psychology works, even there's just too much to gain from it. My friend owns an Italian restaurant in New York City, and he is very well known on Twitter, and a lot of young guys ask him advice, and his advice to all young kids is go wait tables for 6 months. You're going to learn more than you can. And then there's other specialized fields where you can dig deeper into these ideas, like marketing. We did a marketing class on this show for a full week. That's all about psychology. It's all, and the understandable human weakness in human evolution. So Tally says there are educational video games, speech puzzles. Absolutely. But having your kids stare at a screen more than a few hours a day is going to be detrimental. They need activities in which they are acting amongst other children. And you want them to be living and socializing amongst other children who share the same values and worldviews that you're trying to install in your child. We're at a place where, and this is the thing, and this is the one thing where it comes to this idea of defunding the police, where we're moving these resources to other places. Our school system has been gone for decades. Now, how do we fix that? I don't know. There are, I think, more than anything, and I don't know all the programs that young children have, but young children need programs that socialize them in a way that allows them to be excited with working with each other. If they don't develop sharing and cooperation and being a high value child, if they don't learn this young, they are going to struggle in every aspect of their life as an adult. SoCal 49 Geek says it is sad that social dynamics are not taught in school. 100%. And that's why AJ and I have set up the Art of Charm and why we do this show for you guys. People write me all the time. They said, you guys give out all this information. How do you guys get away with this? We get away with it because we're making the world a better place. And if you want to contribute to what we do, you know how. We have all programs. We have tons of programs, tons of free shows, and things for you to get involved to learn more by listening to this show every day. Oh, how about Tally and Charlie and everybody else? We learn a lot here. We talk about what's going on. top drops. Hello, thumbs up to you. Look, animal, we're getting hearts. Isn't that great? And do not forget the role and impact of your parents during this period. Absolutely, 100%. So, guys, if you enjoyed what I had to talk about today and you are interested in our year-long mentorship program where we help you implement and install all these ideas to build a better life for yourself and those around you, all you have to do is shoot me a message on Twitter, Instagram, and that message, just type in the message X-Factor. That is what we're doing. It is a year-long mentorship program where we help you develop out your X-Factor, the right skills and the right mindsets for you to be successful in life. Guys, I got to head out. I got a million things to do today. Let's see if there's any more quick messages. SoCal, I assume this is a recent comment. You get clients say, I wish I was taught this in school when I was 18 all the time. We have been doing live training programs for 15 years. And in those 15 years, I see more and more young men going, why didn't I learn this? Why didn't I learn this at home? Why didn't I learn this at school? Because you're not trained to critically think in school. You're not even trained to critically think in college anymore. You are given a worldview that has limited options. Why? So that you will cooperate. That's why. If you have options, if you're able to create opportunities, well, why would you cooperate? Why would you be led around by your nose off a cliff? If they keep your options limited, then you have to follow their rules. If you learn mindsets and skills that open opportunities for you, then you're nobody's slave. Yes, 100%. So I wish it was available when I was 18. Absolutely. I had to go all the way through into my life, into my late 20s. My late 20s before I realized that something was amiss. And rather than getting angry and giving up at the world, I got into self-development and realized how much bullshit I was fed and how much opportunity was there all around me if only I was able to see it. And if your eyes are closed, you don't develop those skills, you'll never be able to see those opportunities. I feel like men need this more than women do because men always have to be the ones to open your mouth first in front of the woman. Well, we could all use life developing skills, for the art of charm, for what we do. This has been a men's oriented company, but as you see the chat that is filled up, it is tons of women who love this stuff too. Self-development is for everybody. However, the burden for men to take care of their family in a traditional sense is always going to be there. And the more you know, the better your abilities, the more you're able to provide. All right, guys, I got to head out. Listen, tomorrow I have a meeting at 8, so it doesn't look like I will be going live. But I will see you Friday, 8 a.m. Love you all. Thank you guys for checking it out. If you're interested in our mentorship programs or any of the other programs we have, just shoot me the text X-Factor. X-Factor is our year-long mentorship program. It is weekly. It is rad. Shoot me that message, and I will make sure you get the proper information. And I will see you guys soon. Cheers.